Mainly, I just would like Ogden to know that moving to Ogden was the best thing that's ever happened to me. It's changed my life.
2, 3, 4.
I'm R. Brandon Long, alongside Todd Obendorfer, and we are the Banyan Collective, arts and adventure podcasting since 2010. This episode includes an interview with Mikaela Shafer, founder and purveyor of the independent and well-established media arts community resource that is Indie Ogden. We also briefly chat with the Comrades involved with the new all-ages venue, The Co-op.
Eastbound and down, loaded up and trucking, but we gonna do what they say can be done. We got a long way to go, and it's short time to get there. Hey, I'm eastbound, just watch old bandit run.
It's the kazoo that gets me every time.
So we sat down with Scott and Shane recently, and we can't disclose everything that we talked about.
Of the Proper Way.
Of the Proper Way, yeah.
Nine Rails House Band.
So our house band, they have big plans.
Yes.
Right? And they're...
like so big, we had to have Tona Sushi over to discuss it.
Yeah, I like how they throw their meetings, their lunch meetings. That was really good, yeah.
Yeah.
But you can kind of get a little feel of the direction they're going. This is without giving away too much information with the new music video that they posted this last week, where they sat down with Carrie.
Yep.
And they did this incredible cover. And if you haven't seen it, you must check it out.
The Proper Way on Facebook.
Yeah, so we'll link that.
Posted.
Let's link that because
Okay.
I'd like to give that some extra love. So
very good. Todd, you put together a timely and fun show this week with two independent groups.
Kind of our local show.
Our local show, yeah.
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 Which we're all locals, but these two different groups of people have been giving a lot of love to Ogden, and they're continuing giving a lot of love to Ogden. And so the chance that we had to sit down with Mikaela was perfect. And of course, we've known her for pretty much since the beginning.
On the Ogden Outdoor Adventure Show, she said it came up in her timeline like 8 years ago or something. So
it was a little bit after we started the show, but
Yeah.
It was pretty soon after her moving here from Portland. So it was great chatting with her, really catching up with her. Some really interesting news. You're going to have to listen to this. Yeah.
Interesting news. So this is our interview with Mikaela Shafer, founder of the independent media arts community resource, Indie Ogden.
But anyway, thank you so much for joining us in the upper deck. I still think they should have called it
I prefer the garden,
Yeah.
but it's
We
called
might
the
still
upper
call
deck.
it. But upper deck makes sense because it's the upper deck parking lot. So.
If you say upper deck, I just think of what you do to someone's toilet.
That's
if you
just
hit them.
the worst thing ever. How come I do between the two of you? Because Brandon's favorite word is pooper, and so I do that between the two of you. Yeah. So it's not just me. Yeah, so the garden or the upper deck of the Monarch. So it's still just a little bit too soon.
Should we bring that up to Thane?
The upper deck?
Yeah. The reference?
It's probably good, at least so he's aware.
Yeah.
It's got
Of
a
what
little
people
Ogden
might
grit
think.
if you call it the upper deck.
Okay.
You know?
Okay.
Which maybe if you're taking that into account, then that's not bad at all.
I like it. All right. So we're sitting here with Mikaela. The first time I saw you, you said, "Call me Mickey."
Has that changed?
Okay, yes, it has changed, and that is because I always said that people could call me Mickey because I was just so tired of repeating my name 17 times.
Yeah.
But it was actually, and I love my name, and my parents were always like, why don't you have people call you your name? That's your name. That's what we gave you. Damn it.
You should be called that, yeah.
But Kim Boucher was the one that was like, she's like, you need to stop letting people mispronounce your name and call you something you don't even like. And I was like, yeah. And she's like, no, yeah. You need to make people call you your name. And I was like, fine, you're right.
That sounds just like Kim Boucher.
I really do. I never liked Mickey, but it was just easier than being like Mikaela with an I. Like just,
Yeah.
the process of.
So your friends call you the full name?
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll say Mikaela.
Yeah.
I think at this point that
It's
we
on-
probably have
it's
it.
I
on-
think people got it by now. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, especially since you learn from Kim and you correct people. You correct them once
Yeah.
and you probably
Yeah.
remember. Well, maybe if you correct them twice, they'll for
sometimes
sure
three
going
times,
to
but
remember.
it's fine.
Yeah.
So Mikaela, founder of Indie Ogden so long ago that I think it was, what was your memory on Facebook? 8 years?
For the radio show?
For the radio show.
Yeah, I think it was around 8 years.
Around 8 years ago that we first spoke with you because you had this blog that you were working on. And then we just came off of last weekend, or 2 weekends ago. It goes by so
March
fast.
8th.
March 8th.
What is the date?
The
Seventh annual.
seventh annual
Yes, seventh
Indie
annual.
Ogden Awards. Holy crap. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's a lot of work, and I know that you've had to do it through all kinds of ups and downs personally.
Yeah.
So how's the
You kind of track the awards with the life as well.
Yes.
yeah. So I've always been in awe of, because we've been doing this a long time, and I know how much work it takes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I know it's like a ton of work, and I know you get paid a lot of money, so it's easy to do.
These things that we do, these full-time gigs that we already do on top of our full-time
Yeah.
gigs
yeah,
that we
I'm
already
just
do.
flush with cash.
Flush with
I
cash,
filled
yeah.
my bathtub up with diamonds yesterday.
Just
That's
rolling.
that's what's keeping you soft. Like when you just money, just
yeah.
fluff up the money behind you and the
Yeah.
seat and everything.
Basically Cardi B.
Sorry, you're sitting in this '87 van right now, Cardi. So what drives that? Because you came to Ogden and you weren't even from here, and you're like, where do I get access to information? And then you're still putting information out 100 years later.
100 years, yeah.
Yeah.
So really, I guess the beginning started as like a survival mechanism of, I'm new to this town, I don't know anyone, I need to be a part of this community. How do I do that? Being awkward and not knowing how to introduce myself to people. And I think it's really hard to make friends as an adult, especially when you have kids and you're like, you don't go out and party. And so it was really a necessity for me. It was a selfish necessity at first, and then as I was getting involved in the community, it became something that was really emotional for me, and this thing that I love to do. I love Ogden. And I think the thing that drives me is that Ogden is always growing and always expanding, and there's always new people in town. And every time I think that I'm like, okay, I'm done, Indie Ogden's, I've peaked, there's nowhere I could go, I'll get an email from someone that's like, I just moved here and your blog saved me. And I'm like, okay, well then,
Yeah.
you just keep
Oh,
going.
that makes me feel nice. Yeah.
Is that the why still?
It is the why.
Yeah.
The why is the community, and the fact that just when you think that no one's listening, someone will reach out and say, this article or this post meant a lot to me, and I think that is a big why.
How do you describe Indie Ogden if someone were to ask? Obviously, it's a blog,
I call it a community resource.
community resource. I like that.
Yeah, I think it's anything about everything in Ogden. I like to highlight everything from the small business owner to the local eccentric. It's not just about who pays for advertising. It's really the heart of who is Ogden.
So you're not swayed by all the advertisements and
I'm the worst business person ever because
join the crowd. Yeah.
I don't really make any money off Indie Ogden. I was super excited when Tony Duffy came on 3 years ago to start helping me with the Indie Ogden Awards, because he was like, how much did you make on this event? And I was like, approximately negative $800. And he was like, you need to capitalize on this. So he's really helped, and this year I'm happy to say I made a whopping $2,000, which is very exciting. So that sustains Indie Ogden for the next year.
So you cleared $2,000 from, that's awesome.
Yeah, that's very exciting.
That's better than nothing.
Yeah. So that's exciting. So that means now Indie Ogden has the funds to pay for all of our domain fees and pay for to do fun stuff.
It's not just the time that you put in. There are costs involved.
Absolutely. Like domain fees alone,
Right.
were like $500 a year, and then there's business licensing, and then, all that fun stuff.
Yeah.
You got to have stickers.
Yeah, we
Wait, you have stickers?
stickers and pint glasses. Stickers and pint glasses.
Stickers and pint glasses.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
I enjoyed it. There was a Brandon. You weren't able to make it, but this year's Indie Ogden. So you had a nice little swag glass stickers, pint
I have
glasses.
Indie Ogden swag at my house, though.
You probably
I think it's a pint glass. I have a couple of pint glasses.
Yeah,
actually.
every year we do a pint glass, and I did it. The first time we did it, I was like, "Wow, that was really expensive. I'm never doing that again." And then people started posting all these pictures of them drinking out of the pint glasses, and I was like, "Oh." So now it's like a thing every year. And
That's worth it right there.
it's
I
so
think.
worth it.
Yeah.
So when did you? Because you cover everything. I know.
Mm-hmm.
So when we brought you on, it was we had the Ogden Outdoor Adventure Show, and you do adventures in town, and you do arts in town. This is the Arts Podcast, Nine Arrows Arts Podcast. How much do you spend on the blog highlighting some of the artists in town and the arts?
It really depends on what's going on. Winter's been a little slow. We have had some really cool things happen over the winter, but in the summertime, it's, every day I'm on there posting. I try to get out as much as possible and take pictures and post on Instagram. Instagram's definitely a lot more active. We do have a really cool collective of writers who go out to events and write for us.
What's that collective look like right now?
We have around, I would say, 5 to 10 dedicated people that like to go out and go to events. Carol Jennings is a great example of one. She has a standing tickets at all the theaters, so whenever they have shows, she
That's
goes,
nice.
says she's with Indie Ogden, and writes articles for us. And there's some really exciting things coming up that I can't actually talk about yet. There's going to be an announcement next week about
Can
it.
you do it now? It's been like 30 a second.
No, like in a week or two.
Oh,
I don't think
okay,
it's that
okay.
follow-up part that you
Okay.
missed. Yeah.
Okay. Yes.
But it's a tease, which is a
Well,
good thing,
when is
yeah.
this coming out?
This week.
Oh yeah, it's coming out on Tuesday.
It is coming out on Tuesday?
Yeah.
Well, then I guess I can tell you.
Oh.
If it's because that's Tuesday's the announcement.
Tuesday.
Yeah.
So this will come out.
Okay, you're going to hate me, though.
Uh-oh.
I'm ready.
Okay, are you ready?
Yeah.
So, I have big news. I'm moving.
That's big news.
Yes, I'm moving to Olympia, Washington
Like moving.
at the end of the month.
Oh, that's fast.
I know.
Yeah.
And I have this amazing person who is a native of Ogden who has worked in publishing in Portland for many years, who just moved back with his family. And we're going to be working together to expand Indie Ogden into a print magazine. So I'll be working remotely from where I am, and he'll be doing all of the editorial stuff and publishing. And then we're going to take those core group of writers we have and make them part of our staff and really take Indie Ogden to the next level. However, I won't be in Ogden anymore.
Well, that's sad. Really excited about the print
gonna kick
part.
me out of the van?
Oh yeah. No, are you kidding me? Like you're a staple
We'll at least
here.
slow the
Yeah.
van down first. That's fine, yeah.
Good call.
No, we are always encouraging and
I'm so
supportive.
pro
Yeah.
print. I'm really excited about that. Yeah.
As you know, I had the Ogden source before.
That's right, yeah.
The reason that wasn't successful is I think that the person that was running it wasn't from Ogden and didn't have their heart set in it. It was all about money. And this person, their heart is in Ogden. They're born and raised here. They have roots here. And they've been wanting to do this for so long. And it kind of was this serendipitous thing where I was like, I need to be back with my family in the Northwest. As you guys know, I'm from Portland. I have no family here, and things have happened to the point where it's really important for me to be with my family. And I was really freaking out about what to do with Indie Ogden, and that's the only reason I haven't left.
Yeah.
It's just like this thing that's so near and dear to me. I felt a real responsibility to Ogden, which is weird, and it sounds egotistical, but I felt a responsibility for Ogden, so I didn't feel like it was the time to move. And then a friend of mine was like, hey, I have this friend who wants to start a print magazine, but they don't want to be in competition with you, and they have a lot of questions, and let's get together. And I was like, this is perfect timing. And she also happens to be my realtor. And then I was like, so I actually have to sell my house. And she's like, and I also have a family. And she sold my house in 24 hours.
Oh wow.
Congratulations on that as well.
The market's kind of hot too. So
Yeah.
I think I saw you post something. It was like in a comment once where you said something like, this blog doesn't own me or something. Do you remember that? In other words,
Was it your, was I,
well, somebody had commented about maybe it was Salt Lake or something, like this. Well, the comment made it feel like you are open to not being tied to Ogden. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're a definite resource for everyone who lives here, but it doesn't own you, in a sense. Like you can't. But it's interesting for you to say that there's there's a bit of obligation. Like with the Ogden Outdoor Adventure Show, the podcast that we do, it's our obligation is to Ogden. And so if there's stories outside of Ogden, it's like secondary to, yeah. But it was interesting. Your comment seemed to suggest that you were struggling internally with some things.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a rough few years. Ogden has given me so much opportunities and opened doors for me and really expanded my entire life and world. And it's just gotten to the point in my life where I think it's time to move on and let it go and let the next. There's so many amazing people that are coming, like the Monarch is coming in. Mm-hmm. And I think it's time to let people that are more capable and have the emotional and spiritual energy to put into Indie Ogden to take it to the next level. So I think I'm kind of at the point now where I've done all I can for it. And
well, plus now that Indie Ogden has been on its feet for 7-8 years, it's not starting from ground one, right?
Yeah.
And so the fact that you are leaving it in capable hands and the fact that you're still going to be involved.
Absolutely.
We're going to still see your name.
Yeah, I don't think that I could completely walk away from Indie Ogden.
I don't think I could think of Indie Ogden and not think of you, though. That's the weird thing.
I know.
That's...
But remote editing is going to be great.
Which you can do,
yeah,
because it's
I
2019.
work remotely for all of my jobs anyway.
Right,
yeah.
So,
right.
And, I don't actually get out as much as I used to. So I could have slipped away into the night, bet to Olympia, and no one would have noticed, to be honest.
Well, I doubt that.
Well, we're glad that you didn't do that.
No.
But I hear what you're saying. It's always
Yeah.
nice to kind of see.
We see you at so many events, though. That's the good, because you do. I mean, you have the team, but you did get out a lot to a lot of the local events and participate.
The great thing about Ogden is it's family friendly, so I can
Yeah.
take my kids to everything, and I love that.
Yeah. Nine Rails Creative District is launching soon, so that is something that you'll have to report on from afar, but will be awesome.
Yeah, I have contributors that will be the ground
Yeah.
the ground, and I'll just be.
Which we're in the middle of right here in the parking lot of the Monarch building.
I'm glad
The
you met us
upper
over here.
deck.
It's kind of nice, the upper deck. Yeah, exactly. Not the garden, the upper deck as well. Yeah, I have a feeling that in a matter of weeks that we'll be set up right there. You'll be able to almost see our space, like just right at the
Nice.
bottom of the steps right there.
Yeah.
But it feels good to kind of. I'm glad that we met here today. I think this was great. I'm glad you came down the street
Yeah.
as well. So, well, that's that's incredible news.
Yeah.
I know it's like processing.
Yeah, I mean that's
And
kind of a big part of it.
I
But
know it's been hard not to say anything, but for like legal reasons, with
stuff.
custody and stuff,
Yeah,
I couldn't
yeah.
say anything until
Yeah.
Tuesday. So
yeah, no, and we'll keep that. We'll make sure it's Tuesday, Wednesday. Well, after your announcements, But I'm glad that we're able to chat about this
Yeah.
before you left.
Yeah.
And so when the time comes that the baton is sort of passed off, then we'll chat with them as well.
yeah, we'll
right?
be making
keep
an
this
announcement,
going.
and you're gonna love him. He's really great. His name is Dan, and he ran a really cool magazine in Portland. It was like
So are you taking that one over? It's like,
that's actually why did I not think about that? Yeah, Portland will be just about 45 minutes to an hour away from where I'm gonna be. So
interesting. Okay. So you're out. So you'll be outside of that.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm excited for you.
I'm
That's
excited, too.
fantastic. Yeah. No, change is nice, and heaven knows that I have been probably have that in common with you to some degree. Where I get a little stir crazy. I moved around a lot growing up, and just the
Same.
fact that I've been in Ogden for.
I'm sort of surprised you've been here this long.
Yeah, I know. I'm sure there's probably a few people that are like, maybe you shouldn't commit to so many things because. But as it stands now, this is probably a nice little base. But the idea of being able to go visit you up there and following through with these things, right? Having friends coast to coast, I think
Yeah.
helps a little bit,
I
Yeah,
feel,
this is definitely the longest I've ever lived anywhere. I've never
Oh,
lived anywhere
really?
more than a year in my entire life.
Oh, you're kidding.
Because my parents were divorced and my dad's in the military, so we bounced around so much. I never lived anywhere consistently longer than
So
a year.
and your girls are young. They know this is home.
Yeah,
So that'll be a
Scout
pretty
was
big
born
change.
here.
Yeah.
yeah. But I think it'll be exciting for them to be by all of my entire family lives out there. So
Oh, I think that's fantastic.
I feel privileged to sort of bookend your time here. Recorded audio, starting with the in-studio version on the Ogden Outdoor Adventure Show, and now here on the Nine Rails Arts Podcast as you prepare to depart Ogden. This is That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Thanks for coming Good timing, Todd, on the invite.
Yes, exactly.
I know. And I debated
somehow,
saying
yeah.
anything today, and I was like, no, I think it'll be good to like.
I think
Either
it's
one
great.
would have been good. I think being able to say kind of a nice little farewell, because that's one thing that's nice about this particular podcast, this Nine Rails one, is it's a little bit more on the educational archival side, where it's not as time specific as our Ogden Outdoor Adventure one, where we focus a lot more on events and dates. And so the fact that this will be a nice piece of the history of, the creative in Ogden, and you've been a big part of that. So thank you for everything that you've done.
Thanks.
I'm excited for the next step as well. That means,
maybe
are you
I'll
already
start
starting to line up your next blog? And
I am
Olympia?
actually. So the town I'm moving to is very similar to. I love that these like little skater kids just up there. They're
That's
so
awesome.
cute. The town I'm moving to is very similar to Ogden.
I want to say, of
8
course
years
it
ago,
is. It doesn't surprise me at all.
like as I was like trying to, and we chose this town because it just so happened to be where my boyfriend found a job, and then I'm working remotely.
That's the most respect. I don't mean to interrupt. That was the most respectful group of skateboarders.
It was adorable. I wish that you guys could see these little kids in these Thrasher hoodies with long hair. Oh my god!
And they just gave us the we'll be quiet.
Yeah, and then they
we'll
just
go
skated
skate
away.
somewhere else.
Oh. See, where
really
else but
thoughtful.
Ogden? Or do we have like the most respectful
That was
skater
so
kids?
fun. What's happened to skaters? We're gonna have to have an intervention.
They still look the part, though. They still look the part.
No, they were sweet.
Oh, that was funny.
So this town, it's called Olympia, Washington. It's the home of Riot Girl, but it reminds me so much of Ogden. When I first moved here, when I was trying to find things to do, there's no central blog, there's no website, there's nothing, but there's so many cool things happening. I have friends that are there. That are like, you need to come here and start Indie Ollie, like immediately.
Oh
So-
my gosh, you got a good name. I love it.
Yeah.
Already
So-
checked the domain names.
I
I'm
know,
sure.
and a lot like with I run that group, the Ogden Rad Ladies. We've expanded to other towns. We have St. George Rad Ladies, and we have one that's on the East Coast. We have a Connecticut Rad Ladies.
Which the dudes can't get their stuff together. I think the dudes tried.
They tried one, and it like failed in the first one. I'm sorry, guys, but like
The ladies know how to
we're
do it.
organized. We have
Yes.
podcasts. We have
Yes.
we have like 20 subgroups. You guys get it together. But I'm like,
Well,
maybe,
you and I are all right.
We haven't showed up to anything, I think, but we sucked it too. I don't know.
We have each other.
Yeah, we
yeah,
do.
at least you
That's
guys
funny.
have each other. Yeah. So I'm excited about that, and I'm really excited to see how Ogden grows and how this Dan takes over Indie Ogden and really makes it something big.
What's your thoughts, real quick, before you let you go, on media arts in general and media arts in Ogden now over the last, and how we've seen it grown since in the last 10 years a lot. And a lot of stuff has come and gone. The stuff you've been involved with too has come and also.
Yeah, I've noticed a lot of things happening, like really cool zines coming out and more podcasts. Like there's like that Dead History podcast that I really love, and I think now is a really exciting time because one, there's an influx of entrepreneurs that are moving to Ogden. There's money flowing through the town. There's a newfound appreciation for the arts in Ogden, whereas I think 5-6 years ago, we had the standard examiners, and that was it. And if you weren't the standard examiner, no one wanted to pay attention to you. I think now that people are really starting to appreciate and understand the value of media arts and social media and what that brings to Ogden and how that can improve and expand and grow the arts community because you're promoting that all in a way that's tangible.
That's such a good answer. What do you think, Brandon? Your own question.
Oh,
Brandon?
Being involved, being as involved as we are, there's not a
know-
lot of people that do what we collectively do.
I don't know. My head's been in the sand, just buried in Banyan for so long, and in the show that, and that's sort of the sad part, is because there's such fun stuff going on that I feel like I don't get out to. Really, I'm working on our stuff, and I feel like they're like, oh well, you should be more involved in other people's arts. I would love to be, and if I was full-time on the media side instead of having to hold down full-time job plus, then I could be. And so I'm hoping that
But see, and that's one thing that Indy has done well as far as their team being able to cover more ground.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, bringing on more contributors a few years ago was the best thing that I ever did because when Scout was a baby, I wasn't able to go to anything. You
So
saw,
through
you saw how
necessity,
big
sort
of
of.
a baby she was. She
Yeah,
was
she's
huge,
a big baby.
trying to carry her around.
You tried doing a stroll with one of those.
Having people that
shoot.
love Ogden as much as I do go out, and I think that's kind of
Yeah.
now people, like a lot of the theaters and stuff, know that it's not always going to be me coming in to review, so they just have to say they're Indie Ogden, and people respect and are excited about that. So I think it'll be an easy and good transition.
Awesome.
And the Indie Ogden Awards are still going to keep going. I've already set the whole standard on how that works, and Tony's going to be working with the new guy, so we already have ideas for next year, and I will come down for that. You can guarantee it.
Yeah, see, I know we're going to see you at least once or twice a year, but I can see you in particular for those awards
Oh,
shows.
absolutely. Yeah. I will come. I'll be wearing a ball gown. It'll be the wrong theme. I don't care.
Doesn't even matter.
The wrong theme. Oh, that's funny.
So back to what you were saying, I not being able to go to events and being involved, I think what you guys do is being involved. You're sharing what's happening in the arts, and sharing the artist's voice. You might not necessarily get to be on the ground when the art is happening, but you're creating this thing where people can continue to listen over and over again and share it far and wide, so that someone in Olympia, Washington, for example, could hear and be like, oh, there's really cool things happening in Ogden.
Some of our biggest fans are that we know of, because there's so many people we don't know of, but are the feedback we get from family members who live outside of the state, and it's how they tie into Ogden. It's like,
Either they lived out here, or even they just came out for a ski weekend and they kind of fell in love, and so they can live vicariously that way, you know. But I think that it might be even more important than you think. I think it reaches out.
I don't know. I always feel very privileged to hear whoever we're chatting with. I just feel I feel
Well, that's a
honored,
big part of it too.
So thanks for taking the time with us, and thanks for everything you have done and will continue to do from afar with Indie Ogden. This is good stuff.
I'm looking forward to the print magazine.
I'm very excited. He sent me his business plan, and I was like, holy shit. Oh, sorry.
Wait, you got a business plan? Wait.
I was like, I'm like scribbling on a napkin. I'm like, okay, here's some contacts that I use a lot. And he's like, here's my presentation. And I'm like, damn.
How long have you known him?
So I actually just met him a couple of weeks ago. So I'd called my realtor up, and I said that I needed to sell my house kind of quickly because the jobs wanted us to start pretty soon.
I have to leave in the night. Yes.
I had to leave in the night, and I needed to keep it on the hush hush. And she was like, oh, I actually have a family that wants to buy a house, and they came and saw the house after 2 hours, bought it, and then she was like, what are you doing with Indie Ogden? And I was like, I don't know, like I was all stressed out about it, and I had all these ideas, and I was like, maybe I'll just keep doing it remotely and work with the contributors. I did not want it to die. That's like my main issue. Is I spent a lot of time creating this resource, and it's no longer about me. It's about Ogden community.
Right.
And it felt like it would be really selfish of me to just let it fall off. And she's like, well, I have this friend who worked in print for so long, and he's moving back to Ogden with his family, and let's get together for coffee. And we met a couple days later, and
You got to put it out there. Yeah.
Oh, that timing was so perfect.
Everything kind of worked out really crazy weird. Great.
That's cool.
All right, so any last comments to your people?
To your people. I like that.
To your people, your people of Ogden.
I guess mainly I just would like Ogden to know that moving to Ogden was the best thing that's ever happened to me. It's changed my life forever.
Well, we're happy to have been part of that. Thank you so much for everything. Good luck in Olympia. Good luck with what do you call the new blog?
Indie Ollie.
Ollie, I love that so much.
Ollie, yeah.
Oh, that's so perfect. And we'll be in touch. This is really not the end of that. So.
Yeah, thanks so much. Appreciate it.
And never know. I might hate it and run back home. So.
I think it's always an open door back and forth.
Over under 6 months.
Sorry, Dad.
She'll be back at 6.
Moving back.
No, I'm just kidding. That's awesome.
Oh, thank you. That was perfect.
Great discussion, and good luck with Mikaela. She's leaving us.
I think we're still processing the news. I mean, it's all good. It's always good, and we'll still see her every now and again. But I'll tell you, when we sat down with her, and the direction, it just shows you sometimes you never know which.
She said, you're going to be mad, and I'm like, why would we be mad? And then when she told us that, I couldn't think of what to say.
I kind of wasn't expecting that.
No, not at all. Not at all.
So we're still processing, like you might already be processing as well. But I think with what they have planned, it's going to be incredible. We're obviously big fans of print as well, so I couldn't be more excited for that. So we also had a chance to sit down. This is one of our recent van sessions that we did at the Monarch with a group that's calling themselves the Co-op. And they've been raising funds for quite some time now. We'll go into kind of details of that in this interview. But they're putting together an all-ages venue here in town.
Founded by locals from the Ogden and Northern Utah music communities, the venue will support and sustain an alternative community by bringing together young musicians with mentors, performers, and audiences, which Ogden could totally use right now. So this will be great. This is our interview with going with the Soviet theme, the Comrades
This is our new
involved.
Comrades, yeah.
With the all-ages venue,
Well,
the
welcome
Co-op.
to Van Sessions. We are on the upper deck, kind of pre-show. We are joined by the Co-op. Now, what is the Co-op? That's really my question more than anything, yeah. And so you have done a very good job of getting the word out to some degree, meaning it's reached me.
It's happening.
That was our total.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you. That sounded so good after I said it.
And then you can give it to
that
everyone
was the goal
else.
as well.
And that's all we have to do.
And more or less, that's what I'm going for as well, right? Yeah. And so let's do a quick introduction. And that being said, there's many amongst your group that are not here.
That's right.
And we'll kind of introduce them as well.
Cool.
And so my name's Todd. It's good to see everybody.
Hello.
Hi, Todd.
And we'll go to my left,
Hey, I'm Matt Johnson.
Matt Johnson. Tell us just a little bit about you, Matt.
I'm a corporate stooge by day. I play music a lot. I paint, write, make movies and stuff like that. So
You are an artist in every way.
I get paid to do other stuff, but art is what I do when I'm not doing other stuff, basically.
I think you and I have much in common, Matt. Thank you so much for joining us. And then to your left,
I'm Lindy Perry. I've been in the van before, and that was a good
Woo
time.
woo!
Salduro. One of the things that's been really fun is getting to know all of the other co-op members. There's a lot of people that I knew from the music scene before, so having that personal connection has been great. And I also, by day, am a map maker, so that's a fun job.
a map maker.
Awesome.
Is that a cartologist?
See, we're just
cartographer.
Yeah.
Cartologist is something else.
I think that's the process of removing maps.
Extracting.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
And to your left,
I'm Eric Holmes. I do everything that everybody says you should stop doing at 30, which is I play ska music and I perform comedy improv.
they were huge in the 90s, but I'm glad that you're still.
I'm holding out hope. Well, I mean,
It'll be back.
Yeah, so
I don't know
I'm
if
holding
they
out
ever
hope.
left.
I mean, I play industrial, so we're kind of in the same.
Yeah, right.
I love this band right now. I think we have everything covered. And so you are here to talk about the Co-op. And so let's start from scratch, kind of where it started, what it is, that you're working on, and what we can do to help. Those are kind of our steps. But we can take all the time we need to get to that point. So who would like to start that discussion?
You got something?
Sure. So I think all of us individually. So there's about 7 of us now that are kind of in the official
Comrades.
in the council
Well, everyone's
of
a
ministers.
comrade.
Everybody's a comrade.
I just loved. I read that somewhere. And I'm like, I'm gonna love this
We're,
group.
we're the ministry.
Yeah,
we're
I
the-
love
we're
that.
the-
Okay.
we're the ministry.
Yeah.
So
Good band, by
there's
the way.
Yeah. So there are about 7 of us, and I think all of us independently wanted to open up an all-ages venue in Ogden. We all had pretty fun memories of playing Mojo's and the basement when those all-ages venues were around. And not to say anything poor about the bars we have here in Ogden, who are great and that have treated us the music scene well, but I think all of us benefited having a place to play when we were kids. And so probably have to thank Jeff Bilderback more than anything, just getting us all together.
It's true. He was a great connector. He and I have been talking about this for a couple of years, but it's so hard to find the time. And as you've heard, all of us have hobbies. All of us have regular jobs. Mm-hmm. And so it was going to be too much work for 2 of us to do. Even if we could raise the money and all of that stuff, how to have the time to book it and make sure it stayed clean and functioning. And that was kind of overwhelming. So Jeff, just connecting people, he just cast a really wide net and brought everyone to the table up front, and then the
Which kinda
people
what
with
he
the
does.
ambition, we kind of self-selected.
Yeah.
Well, in my head, it started with Earthworm too. I don't know if you guys have talked to him yet, but
Not
Oh
yet.
yeah.
he posted on Facebook about how he's just like, hey, Ogden needs an all ages venue, and we were all like, yes, let's do this. So, and Jeff was part of that
Yeah.
post, and yeah, it just kind of
Shook out.
Now, what was Jeff's background?
Jeff is a promoter for a lot of bars in the Ogden and Salt Lake area, and so he knows pretty much every musician
It's true.
in the Ogden and
He's
Salt
so
Lake area.
connected.
Was he affiliated with Mojo's?
He
He
did-
did sound. I think.
Yeah, he started out there.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Which-
That's
which
where
I-
I first met him.
yeah,
Which
he,
I
he
kinda
was at
love.
Mojo's.
Okay, so
until
the seed was planted. The seed was always planted.
Yeah.
But then it was all brought together.
Uh-huh.
Right.
And then what do you do with information like that? Kind of where did things start?
We started meeting at Grounds on 25th.
It
Which
was
is a
really
perfect place for meetings.
It was
Yeah.
really
Where all
rowdy
good
too.
things
It was so
happen.
fun.
Yeah.
There was like 20 people coming in the door, and it was like I had no idea I was going to be there except for Jeff. So I show up and I like know 5 people right away, and I'm like, yes, this is going to be so fun. And so as people have like, you know, everyone's made a really great contribution, but not everyone has time to keep going. So
Right.
so it's kind of narrowed down to the people who have the time and, you know, have the motivation to keep going with it. So
There have been a few purges.
as is common with a new order.
Right.
Do you, is all welcome? Do you get voted out of this ministry?
It-
Right? Well, do you want to go?
Yeah, it's all just
good
it was all organic. There was no like voting people out.
Organic is always the best. I
Yeah,
like
and
that.
so it's just a matter of the people that kept showing up and kept contributing and
That's
kept
right.
finding ways to build up to you know what we have now, which is fairly solid ideas and I'll need it for a lot of money. That's
Yeah.
what we got at the moment.
So
And it's-
take us back really quick. When was that first meeting at Grounds?
October?
Yeah, it was like
October.
mid-October, I think. It was
And of
before
course, the
Halloween.
idea was probably before that,
Right.
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
but that's when things kind of really got started.
Yes, exactly. Yep.
So what's happened since October?
Well,
Which wasn't that long ago, actually.
I
no,
know.
it's not. So we built a business plan. We want to make sure that we're doing this right. I think all ages venues have some have a tendency to not play by the rules and or laws.
Listen, we don't check any IDs in the van.
When you're in, you're in.
But so we put together a business plan. We got our business license. We've got a bank account. We've got
Wait, time out. How'd you get the bank account?
by getting a business license.
Oh,
And then
there's
and
no
then going
money
to
in the bank account. There's just a bank
Oh, no.
account.
Not
No,
yet.
no.
Well,
We,
there's some money.
There's some
We,
money.
we'll get up to that point.
We had
Okay.
money in at the
Yeah.
bank.
Okay.
So
We set up some benefit shows to make us some money. Local, like I said, local bars have been awesome and have allowed
Yeah.
us to do benefit shows. In
I think
their
it's been really generous. Brewskis, Funk and Dive. We've got some coming up at Kamikazes. Everyone's been so generous to let
and the
us
Sand Trap as well.
yeah,
come in and use the facilities and let us take the money at the end. I think that's pretty cool because we're not trying to compete. We're trying to like build a bigger scene, a better scene.
So the idea at this point are your benefit concerts, your benefit albums,
Yeah.
the CDs that you're
Correct.
putting out, and this money is being collected towards the goal.
Yes. And we've got a few goals that we're working towards. So we've got our Kickstarter that's been finalizing the verification stage for the financial end, and then we'll be ready to take some money. And we've got a $5,000 goal to get the stage and sound gear in place. Then we've got a few more tiers to help us make a long-term financial stability plan so that we can have rent covered for at least 6 months. We're hoping to get it up to a year.
Yeah.
And then we'll be able to, once we see how much community involvement there is, we'll be able to pick out a space that we know we can sustain with that kind of involvement, and we'll go. Oh, we've also got merch. You can buy our merch.
buy all the merch, please.
But yeah, the first year is really kind of critical, I think, for venues too. It's where you either pass or fail. So what we're trying to do is basically get the funding for that year so we can make sure we do everything else right and then not have to struggle for that time.
I think that's a brilliant idea. And so you're not pushing that time frame necessarily.
I think we want to be ready more than anything.
Yeah.
We don't want to allow ourselves to become complacent and keep pushing it back. But at the same time, we don't want to rush into a situation that's not going to be sustainable. I think, that first meeting when the core group had kind of organically been set, I think we all sat down and we realized we're not going to make money off of this thing. None of us are going to become rich because of this venue.
Except for me.
But we might become a little bit famous.
Just a little
which
bit
is why
famous.
I'm here.
Instagram influencer, maybe.
Ogden famous.
Yeah, Ogden famous.
But I think as most
You're going to be able to cash that in someday.
yeah, someday. I mean, maybe we'll get free entry to some.
Yeah, that'd be
something.
sweet. Maybe we'll meet Bono.
Oh no, can we not?
You can opt out. That's all right.
Yeah. But I think the kind of when we first met, we kind of solidified on this tongue-in-cheek communist theme. As you can tell by my red and yellow T-shirt with the Soviet star there.
Yeah, you're not really hiding anything.
Yeah. Yeah, and honestly, for this to work, it kind of has to be a little communist.
Yeah.
We're not going to. Our goals are not going to be about making money. It's not going to be about profit margins. It's not going to be about any of that. It's going to be stability.
Well,
we want a place to play for a long time.
Exactly, but I also have to say that we're going to need community help if we're going to reach that goal, because we have plenty of private funders who are willing to throw a lot of money to get the doors open, but then we have to pay them back. We have to make sure that we're getting profit margins that appeal to the investors who give us money. But if we get good Kickstarter funding, we need less of that. We can work on community projects a lot more, and that's something that I really want to stress.
And then we're only beholden to the community that helps us rather than
exactly
people who are just in it for the money.
Yeah.
I love that. Now, who out of this group has the business savvy?
That's me. Thank you, Weber State University, for my
We've titled
administration degree.
We've titled him the Minister of Finance and Labor.
Yep.
I like the labor part as well. That's fantastic.
Yeah, I'm an HR guy by day, and then,
part of the sexy ministry at night.
Yeah,
I get you.
I need some spice in my life.
This is what provides that. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so how many benefit concerts have you done?
2 so far.
2 so far. How many do you have lined up? When's your next one?
2 more. So we have one lined up for the last week of April at the Sand Trap, and we're tentatively planned for April 5th at Kamikaze's right across the street.
Excellent. And these benefit concerts are going to be part of the plan for a while.
Yeah, well, until we get up and running, which is we're aiming for the summer, and then we'll just have our regular concerts.
Yes.
We also have one in Logan for anyone who listens in Logan. I've set one up at Y Sound in Logan, so that's March 22nd.
You still making that commute?
I don't commute. No, I'm set in Logan, and I
You're
come down for our meetings.
Yeah. Oh, really?
And I'm really grateful that they let me be a part of this, even though I'm the only non-Ogdenite.
Yeah, I think Eric and I spend as much time in Salt Lake as we do.
Yeah,
that's
true.
Okay, so we've made it to that step where you are looking at a space. Have you gotten to that point quite yet?
These guys have been to see a building.
Yes.
Yeah, there's a space we kind of have had our eye on from the start. There's a number of places we've looked at, but there's a really good one that it's kind of what we've been shooting for up on Harrison. We like it because it's not where all of the rest of the kind of the venues are and the bars and stuff. It's sort of an underrepresented area, and the property owner seems really cool. They've done some stuff there before, so zoning wise, we should be okay. We need to work that out still.
It's also a good spot for youth involvement with the high school and the university.
Yes.
I'm trying to picture it in my head. We'll have to chat about it afterwards.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's also expandable. And our idea is we start with a venue, and then we'd like to do a lot of other stuff with the space too.
I was going to ask that as well.
Yeah,
kind of what the plan is with the
movies
space
and stuff. So I'd like to maybe teach some film stuff like that, some visual arts, and my idea that I keep pushing everyone else is to have some rental practice spaces for bands.
I think we all think that's a really important
that'll
idea.
help finance us, and we could build those out at the space we're looking at. So like just 24-hour, you rent a room, you can have your stuff there locked and just go play whenever.
Yeah, underground style.
Because Ogden doesn't have that either.
Yes.
I think that's a great idea. And so as far as all ages right now, where are the kids going? I know that
there's nowhere.
we'll do a teeny
Basements.
tiny little plug for our little van sessions. Yeah, I mean
Yes.
that's something since the beginning, but that's just once a month, and obviously we're not reaching out to everybody, but the one thing that Brandon and I can vouch for is just the talent is ridiculous at the youngest of ages, the ages where I'm like, okay, what was I doing when I was 14, 15?
Right.
I wasn't shredding like that. I tell you that right now.
Yeah, it's crazy. Well, in Salt Lake it's super catering to all ages. Like there's 4 or 5 big venues just kind of downtown.
Shouts to Conrad, who's kind of the DIY all ages guy down in Salt Lake. Conrad Keel with Beehive Social Club in the Underground. Does some great shows for all ages.
We got that we played the Loading Dock like 2 weekends ago, and there's a good scene for that down in Salt Lake. But up here, as far as I know, aside from what you guys are doing, there's not a place to play if you're in a band.
Well, that's the first thing that I read as far as the all ages part, and I'm like, okay. I got to give all the love to that. I think it's brilliant. Yeah.
I can't believe
I
that
cut my
we're
teeth playing Mojos and like the Junction. We all kind of railed against the Junction when it was open, but it was where all of us learned how to do what we do.
Right.
So, it's nice to have.
I just can't believe no one has beat us to this idea already.
Yeah.
There's such a need for it.
Even every time I drive by, even just the old Mojo space, I think the same thing.
Why is that
little
still
tear,
closed?
A little tear falls down
I wonder
my
if
cheek.
my stickers still in there somewhere.
Right. I think I did some marker drawings in there.
Yeah.
Maybe it's still on the walls.
It might still be on those walls, yeah. Okay, so what else do we need to know? What can we do?
So I think the biggest thing is that we're, like Lindy mentioned, we just need community support. This is for the community. We are 7 people who aren't looking to make money. We are looking to start something that helped us all out when we were younger. Like music helped this, like me, a very shy, awkward kid, find my voice and find my passion. And to think that that's not accessible for Ogden's kids right now, like sure, they can go down to Salt Lake, they can go to Logan, but
it's hard because you're so connected in your own hometown,
right?
And you don't have that when you go out of town.
Yeah.
It doesn't follow you.
Well, you have to nurture that. You have to encourage that for sure.
For sure.
When I think helping us out with the cure from the community too doesn't just mean financially, right? Like we're going to do the Kickstarter and that's what we need to get going, but also, not everyone can help financially, but you can come help us build a stage. You can pass out flyers or, just share our links on Facebook, stuff like that. Right. That's huge these days.
So what's the upcoming concert that we can go attend, donate a little bit of money, enjoy some music?
Yeah, the March 22nd show is going to be my band, and I know that that's super self-promoting, so thank you for this opportunity. Yeah. So Saldero, and then Tanner Lex Jones, and My New Mistress. So that'll be really fun. It's always a party when they play Y Sound. It's a hometown show for them, and there's usually toilet papering and confetti cannons and...
Yeah. I was going to ask if there was any confetti cannons, so that's going to work perfectly.
Yeah. They're known for their confetti cannons. Yeah. It's true.
And if you want some sweet merch, we will have some merch for you up at that show.
It's
as well.
true.
Okay, so
much merch.
Social media wise, where can we reach you? Where can we find you? How can we get hold of you?
We're on Facebook, theco.op.ogden. We're on Instagram. We have a website.
We're on Instagram now?
We're on Instagram.
I barely check it, but we're on there. I've got the auto post, so anytime I post to Facebook, it also goes to Instagram.
Yeah, we should all figure out how to do that.
I'm just shaking my head, yes.
Follow us on Instagram, Matt.
Yeah.
I'll look you guys up.
Just switch over from MySpace every now and again. You'll be all right, yeah.
Yeah, we'll have a website at some point, but it's not fully up yet.
So what are you each most excited as far as this project goes? You said as a filmmaker, being able to encourage that, I think that's brilliant, right? Plus that brings a little bit of your own history, your own sort of niche, What about the other two of you?
Oh, okay. So the reason that I got into this is because in Logan, the community is so small. It was hard to get started in music there, but then I went to Salt Lake and did rock and roll camp for girls, and just the opportunity to volunteer and like get involved in a big community was just incredible. And some people were starting to talk about maybe we could do a youth program in Ogden, and I was like, let's do that, but where? And so, there's Imagine Music, but I think that we needed more dedicated stage space. So feeding some of those youth programs that I've gotten experience with into Ogden would be like awesome.
Well, and hopefully at some point working with all of those guys too.
Right.
Yeah.
For sure.
I just like the idea of rock and roll
Overlap.
camp for girls. That sounds
Oh,
amazing.
it's so
Hell
fun.
yeah.
Their enrollment's open. It just opened today. So girls
that's
8 to 18 can go sign up for that too.
Yeah, my friend's daughter did that. It was awesome.
It's
Like
so
they played
cool.
at Kilby Court.
Yeah.
Like just
That's
full on rock show.
Yeah.
That's super cool.
What are you thinking?
You know, apart from the things I mentioned earlier about, you know, giving kids a place to play.
Of course.
I have always this will give you an insight to who I am. I've always wanted to own my own business. I've always wanted to do that. I'm a business nerd, along with my.
We're
you know,
glad that you
ska
are.
nerd and
Yeah,
hip
we're
hop nerd.
very, very glad that you are.
And so, you know, I got excited writing a business plan and writing a culture document of
And
like
it's
how
good.
we wanted the culture of the co-op to be, and so being able to take all my skills. I like the company I work for my day job. Don't get me wrong, but to do something that's so tied to my passions
Yeah.
and be able to take the skills that I paid way too much money to gain and do it for something, you know, local, something I'm really passionate about, is really exciting.
Also, I discovered that I have a talent for crafting propaganda,
Yeah.
and I love
Yeah,
that
she's really good at it.
I'm unlocking all of these wonderful things I didn't know about myself.
I'm so glad that was unlocked at some point or
Yes.
another, because that's going to show up
It's gonna.
Oh, it
in
has.
some
It's-
sort of unwanted way if you don't let that out.
Oh,
You got to
I
let
know.
that steam out every now and again. I think
Yeah.
it's great. Well, thank you so much for joining us. You are always welcome. Send your message. We'll spread the message as
Cool.
well. I'm going to see what we could do about sponsoring co-op van sessions if you
That would be cool.
may be interested. I think
That'd
that
be
sure.
particularly once the Monarch gets up and going in the next few months, maybe we could pick a date.
Yeah.
Maybe
Let's do
line
that.
up some bands and
that'd
and
be
see what we
awesome.
could do. But we couldn't support you any more than we already do. So thank you so
Yeah,
much for
thank
everything. I
you.
cannot
Thank you.
wait. Brandon, anything else from you back there, sir?
No, that was fantastic. I'm excited to see what you guys come up with. And I like the alternative names for marketing.
Thank you so much, you guys.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Thanks for your time.
So let's go ahead and put a bow on this episode number 13, Lucky 13. I said, I told Mikaela that this was 13, and I think she lit up a little bit. So that's good. I think it's perfectly appropriate that she's 13. So we set up Tan Van in and you probably picked up on this, the upper deck, which you probably learned a little too much about. I don't know how much we kept that in the interview.
That's pretty funny.
Which is essentially the parking that has the Monarch mural around the outside of it. But the reason that we set up here, one, it's a beautiful day for it. It's always good to get in, Tan Van. But we're going to be moving into the Monarch space very soon.
Yeah, so the artist studios are about halfway done on one side and looking to finish out. I had to send in measurements of Banyan 1, our trailer, to Carbon Architects, who are working on the inside, putting together all the artist studios to make sure we can potentially get it out should we need to once it's in there. So they're trying to design doors specifically for us. I
That's
guess.
smart. I love that.
Yeah, so that and the first major event that will be inside of the Monarch is the Climbing Festival. It's coming up soon in April, and that's just like 3-4 weeks away. It's which is hard to believe, but we're gonna pull it off. So yeah,
You're going to love it. Those of you that have done the hard hat tours, you know what you're going to get yourself into. And those of you that have not, you are absolutely going to love this space.
if you have not seen the space, excellent point, Todd. Go on a hard hat tour.
Yeah, they're still doing hard hat tours.
Yeah.
I couldn't be more excited. I think within the next few weeks, they're going to start giving us some hard hat tours of the Peary Apartments just across the street, and I cannot wait to see those.
That we can see from the van right now.
We can see it. Yeah, we're looking at them right now from where we're at. Yeah.
All right, that's a wrap for episode 13 of the Nine Rails Arts Podcast, produced by the Banyan Collective, arts and adventure podcasting since 2010. Do not miss an episode of the Banyan Collective's Nine Rails Arts Podcast as we explore what it means to be an adventurous creative here in 2019. Here are the stories of Ogden's new Nine Rails Creative District, including those of the district's epicenter and home of artisans, designers, and creatives at the Monarch Building. Follow the Nine Rails Arts Podcast on Facebook and also on Instagram at the number 9 for Nine Rails. For more from the Banyan Collective, simply search the Banyan Collective on iTunes and also on Spotify. We are on YouTube as well. This week, we will leave you with a little something recorded inside the Monarch, a track from Van Sessions last month, I believe. It is from the Snarlin' Yarns. again recorded live inside the Monarch.
You're going to love it.
We're only playing originals tonight, by the way.
Only original.
This tune's called Pharmacy Girl. I'm not gonna say any more about that.
Get it.
Well, won't you cross it out? Wanna see more than your smile over hazy world while if I do. You always at the elbow with a little hand, and your home is covered with cotton scars, or I could be your man. How do you do? How are you for throwing away the good things and starting something new? How are you for throwing away the good things and starting something true? I said heal, I said feel, I said touch me do. I said healing, I said feeling, I said love me true. Well now, I live in a barroom with the streaks across my nose, and my eyes are turning yellow, and that smoke hangs off my clothes. When I met you at the pharmacy, when you fed me my pills, you know all my insides can't cure all my ills. How do you do? How are you both throwing away the good things and starting something new? How are you both throwing away the good things and starting something true? I said, heal me, feel me, and touch me do. I said, heal me, feel me, love me true.
I'm just a little lonely cricket. I'm the loneliest cricket in town. I'm like a skillet full of Skittles, turned up to 105, 107, 109. I've been down 1-800, how to get sick every time I saw you. Every time I saw you, I was checking my blood pressure that said prairie grass in a windstorm. Then I rose up out of there and I saw those eye patches right there in the CVS, the Christian Value Store. And I got me an eye patch because I'm sailing the sea, the salty wine dark sea. I'm coming for thee, I'm trying to get sick. I'm smoking potato chips. I'm eating red meat 9 days a week. I'm sitting in an easy chair and falling asleep in it. I'm watching infomercials about Caligula and cholesterol. I'm trying to lose it, so you will offer me the fingernails of your hand as the pharmaceutical on demand.
When I lay my hands on you, care and you quake, but you would not cry for me, my girl, when you lay me in my way. But now we join together like a rust off funny said, and my pain is stitched to your sweet skin. Tell you for throwing away the good things and starting something new. You threw away the good thing and started something new. I said healing, I said feeling, I said love me too. I said healing, I said feeling, I said love me true. Thank you.
Thank you.
Snarling Yarns on Van Sessions. Thank you so much.